Good evening, friends, and welcome to Insight. I'm your host, Pat Gagliardo, and tonight's topic is angels. And with me is Alma Daniel, author of the best-selling novel, Ask Your Angels. Alma is a teacher and a psychotherapist. She teaches classes in spiritual development, and she hosts a weekly meditation and metaphysical studies group. Alma is the founder and former director of the Human Potential Counseling Service and the Flotation Tank Association. She has been featured on numerous radio and television talk shows and also featured in Time magazine. Being a third-degree Reiki healer, she has been teaching people how to connect with their guardian angels since 1985. And it is my pleasure not only to welcome her, but to thank her from driving in from Manhattan. Thank you, Alma Daniel, and welcome to Insight. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Pat, for inviting me and the angels.
And that's why we're so full of love right now, right?
Exactly.
Alma, a little earlier, before we aired, I asked you briefly, how did you, in fact, meet your angel?
Well, everybody's got a story, Pat, and mine is that my life was collapsing. Angels do tend to come into our lives at times of radical transformation. So if your life is falling apart, take heart. The angels are near and you're about to move into a new phase. What happened was that I was running a flotation tank, which is, as probably many of our viewers know, a large box that has water in it, and it has about 150 gallons of water and close to 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. I had a new tank installed. And when the man left, he said, well, it'll be cooking overnight, and I'll come back in the morning, check the temperature. The next morning, my downstairs neighbor called and said, Mrs. Daniel, he said, you better come down here right away. He said, there's water pouring out of my chandelier, and it's soaking my carpet, my books, everything. I went downstairs. I live on the 25th floor, you have to understand. And indeed, there was water pouring out of the ceiling, and I went out of business immediately. And so what do you do when something terrible happens? You get sick. I got sick, and I went to bed, which was the only way anybody could slow me down in those days. And I was sitting there just kind of vegetating and cogitating, and my partner Timothy came in at that point. He said, you know, your angel is right there with you. Just ask for its name. And I had been a disbeliever. That is to say, I thought maybe other people had angels, but why would an angel bother with me?
You know, hearing voices or being, talked to, you have to know what people you can say that to, or they would have carted you away.
Well, that's another thing. You see, sometimes the signs of spiritual unfoldment are identical to those of mental illness, and you have to know who you're talking to. So he said, ask your angel for its name, and we had some back and forth, and I said, if you're so smart, I was really very, feisty in those days. I said, if you're so smart, you ask for its name. And he came up with the name Elena. And I didn't believe that was the name. He said, okay, you ask. I said, how do you ask your angel what its name is? He said, just shut your eyes and ask. So I slammed my eyes shut and I said, what is the name of my angel? And on the back of my forehead, as if it were a screen, I saw 3 letters, L-N-O. Not a name by our standards at all, but that was her name. And instantly she came in, I started getting impressions of what she was trying to tell me. And Timothy gave me a pad and a pen, and I started writing things down. I knew it was my angel because she started telling me things I didn't want to hear. So I knew that I wasn't...
Things about yourself, you mean?
Exactly. And I knew it wasn't me making it up, because I certainly wouldn't have made those things
No,
up.
you would have been into total denial.
Absolutely.
So, this was in 1985, and you had a crisis in your life. Now, did you actually hear a voice? I know you said you saw some letters and images.
That's a very interesting question. It feels like a voice, but what really I'm getting is a gestalt of information. And what my angel has told me is that because angels are not in physical form, they don't have voices. So they wouldn't really be talking, but what they do is they communicate in thought clusters. And we pick up these vibrations or clusters of thought, just as dolphins communicate with each other in thought clusters, and we translate them into words. Now, there are people who actually hear the voice, and that is, as you say, clairaudience, and that takes place in the ears and the throat area.
How do you feel that the chakras has anything to do with the opening to the psyche to make this sort of attunement? You said that you were in a crisis situation, so obviously at that time with your emotions running rampant and everything else, your energy itself was very scattered.
Oh, indeed.
Do you suppose then that this is what helped you to attune to your higher intelligence? I believe that it is part of God consciousness.
Oh yes, I believe it is part of God consciousness as well. And you mentioned the chakras. Yes, one of the things we do in the book is we teach people how to open and clear their various energy centers, which is what the chakras are. The chakras are actually transformers for higher energies, and that's how we get the information.
How do you differentiate from what your own thought processes may be as to external information?
Okay, one of the ways I do that, and that's a very good question, Pat, is I write down whatever it is I get. In fact, now I can get it on my computer. In fact, as I mentioned earlier in my book, my angel actually came in and she said, I want my own disk, my own computer disk. So I write it down, and I can tell when I reread it, particularly, by the tenor, by the tone, by the feeling. Sometimes I ask a question and I get an answer to something totally different. So I know you can distinguish between your mind. Your mind will come in and say, you should do this and you ought to do that, and things of that nature.
Be part of your own character.
That's right.
Part of your own nature.
But not with the angel. The angel comes in and really is non-judgmental.
What was the whole purpose of LNO? Making contact with you at that point in time, outside of the fact that you had some calamities and other kind of situations in your life. And how did you feel, how do you feel that you've benefited from it up to this point?
Well, she came in very definitely, and I say she advisedly because angels don't have gender, but she came in very particularly to assist me in seeing the highest good in whatever occurred.
Okay.
And although I went out of business overnight with the flotation tank, what happened was that I was then drawn into a much wider sphere. And my work has extended now so that I'm bringing information about the angels and other spiritual matters to many, many more people than I would have if I had just been opening the door to the tank and putting people in and taking them out.
So then, what was your purpose? What was your part? What drove you to put it in print? How do you feel that this information is going to benefit mankind?
Well, what I like to say, when people say, well, why did you write the book, or how did you come to write the book, I always say, my angel made me do it. And I think it will benefit people because the book is actually a manual for self-improvement. It is a guide to working with spirit and transforming the quality of your life. And
to benefit yourself.
To benefit yourself. And we have to start with ourselves before we can assist others. So we heal ourselves, we heal our family situations, we heal our work situations, and that moves out into the world. And that's how it happens.
And if you have a question, please feel free at this time to call in 1-800-300-TV26 to speak with Alma. I'm sure that if you've had some situations that occurred in your life that maybe can't be explained away through conventional or natural or human means, you might want to ask someone who's been there. Please feel free to call us anytime. Now, Alma, so this happened to you, and then the angel tells you that she wants her own disc. What was the set of events that followed? What happened after that, after you became aware?
After I became aware? Well, for one thing, I had to cope with the whole messy business of reorganizing my life and my business. And about 2 months later, it was, I began teaching people how to open to their
And
angels.
how did you do that? What form of instruction?
The first time, actually I was working with Timothy at the time, and the first time we gave a workshop, we asked for guidance as we went along, or as we like to say, we were winging it from the moment that we went there. We knew that people needed to do what we call grounding, which is to come into their bodies instead of going out of your body, which a lot of people, it's fun to do, but when you're dealing with the angels, they really want us to be very present. One of the things they teach us to do is to be very present in our life in every moment. so that when I'm with you, I'm totally with you. So we knew that people needed to ground themselves, and we literally worked out meditations, which are actually in the book as well, to help people come into their bodies, to be more present. We also knew that probably the most important thing to do if you want to get in touch with your angel is to release negativity. And so we devised various processes by which people... We,
Okay.
we, all of
established
us,
we.
the angels and us, devised processes by which people could learn to release anger, resentment, pride, envy, hatred, fear, self-doubt, you name it, any one of those things. Because all of those things can keep us from opening to the light, you see.
I'm so happy that you said that, opening to the light, very powerful words. What helped you to ascertain for yourself that the information that was being given to you was, we'll say, from a good source? I believe in earthbound energy. I believe, as I told you, in God consciousness. I also believe that there's other negative energies or unsettled energies that can affect thought processes within ourselves, maybe to create negativity or bad situations, good situations. What kind of information did these angels give you beforehand to help you to place stock in what they said, or to have you feel comfortable with what was happening to you? I think that's very important that you tell this to the viewers.
Yes.
How, I mean, you couldn't just say, okay, I accept and get on with it. There should have been something, or what kind of protection or what kind of processes happened before you just said, okay, I'm just going to accept this as gospel and follow along and give LNO its own disc. I mean, what did you do?
Well, for one thing, the information that was coming, that I was feeling, that was truly resonating within me, proved to be impeccable. And so what it always does is it always points me back to myself. If I'm having trouble with a friend, it points me back to me, not what my friend did, said, or whatever.
Right, taking responsibility for yourself.
Precisely. And another thing, the information that comes from the angel is never judgmental. It never is directive in the sense of, okay, Pat, pick up and move to Minnesota. Now, you won't get information like that from an angel. You may get information like that from a guide, but you won't get one from an angel.
How do you, okay, good. Let's go to phase 2 here. So how do you tell the difference?
For me, the difference is in feeling. When the angel is present, and the angels are very much with us right now, I can tell, there is a sense that I have of such great love and such tenderness that peace, that sometimes it literally brings tears to my eyes. And I know that that is my angel. In fact, some people see angels, I do not. Some people smell angels, I have smelled angels. Some people hear angels, but I feel angels.
To you, it's a presence?
It is a presence.
State of mind?
And it is a state of heart. I would say it is a state of heart, because although the mind is used, it's not dominant. You understand? It has to do with the use of the heart, informing the heart with higher mind, if you will. So that's how I distinguish. Also, another way, and we do describe the differences between angels and guides and extraterrestrials and nature spirits in the book, because people always say, well, how do you know it's an angel? Maybe it's an extraterrestrial. Maybe it's a guide. Angels have always been angels. They have never been anything but.
We're talking like Saint Michael, the Archangel, etc., and Gabriel.
Yes, they have never been human beings, with very rare exceptions. Guides, spirit guides, frequently have lived in human form before, and they're simply back to assist us now.
Hold on to that, Alma.
Okay.
And when we come back, I'll be taking your phone calls about your angels. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back. And for those of you who may have just tuned in, you are watching Insight, and we are discussing angels with Alma Daniel, author of Ask Your Angels. Now go ahead, Mary from New Britain, you're on the line.
Hi, Alma. Hi, Pat. Talk about crisis. Yeah, I feel like Job. Uh, I've tried getting in touch with angels myself, but I haven't gotten anywhere. I believe in God, but obviously I'm not doing something right. Do they help you heal things in your life and marriages, except stuff like that?
Yes, they do. They do. And they start by helping you heal your own life and heal your own heart. And one of the things that my angel has always told me is, no matter how serious things look in your life, no matter how badly off you may feel that you are, look for what you can give thanks for and look for what you can praise and bless. It's amazing how that really can turn the tide if you hold that thankfulness in your heart.
Thank you very much, Mary.
How you're not getting anywhere, and you're doing some of the things you spoke about, meditating, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sense what is not happening, what I'm not doing right?
Gosh, I guess my suggestion to everybody these days is just let go, whatever it is you're holding on to.
I'd like to jump in there, Mary, if I may. Your life is out of harmony. Your life has been out of harmony for some time. From my own personal experience, I would like to tell you that until, as Alma said, until you get in touch with yourself, you have to build on your confidences. When the higher consciousness speaks to us, we have to be ready to hear it. And that could probably be the reason you're not making the attunement.
What do you sense for my marriage?
It's not just your marriage. It's a combination of things that are going on in your life. If you can, call back during the second half of the show, and I'll be more than happy to speak to you about it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mary. Go ahead, Penny from Bristol. You're on the line.
Yes, I'd like to know who my guardian angel is and how do you reach them? You just talk to them.
Well, the first thing you got to do is ask. And I would suggest you go to a place where you can be real quiet and calm yourself down. Do some nice breathing, and what I was talking with Pat about, ground yourself, bring yourself more fully present into your body, and just sit there and relax, and ask your angel to come closer, and ask that it be with you, and begin to acknowledge its presence. Sometimes the angels don't talk to us right away, but you will feel the feeling.
And also, Penny, I'd like to add something to that. I'd like to get this into this part of the program. Remember, too, you have the right to question all information, too. Something that you're not comfortable with, then you should re-examine from where those thoughts or that information is coming from. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jean from New Britain. You're on the line.
Yes, I have been trying very hard to understand all this. I have a priest that's been a director for me for over 30 years, and he's been talking about angels and that I should get in touch with them, my angel. But I don't know. In my back of my head, you know, I feel my health isn't good. My whole life is just, I feel like, you know, I don't know, I feel a lot for Jesus, and I feel that all I do is offer it up, but I already ran out of offering up. I've had so many surgeries, so many emotional, mental, physical, and tragic things, you know, where your husband shoots himself, and you know, sometimes I wish you know, and 26 serious operations. And now the doctors are looking at me cross-eyed because they don't understand how, you know, what's wrong with me, and yet I can't walk. I walk with a walker, and still it hurts. I'm in pain, and I don't want to live on pills or any. I live alone. I finally got to the point where I had everything, and now I've got nothing. Not even a good word from my parents, and I'm an only child. Although I'm older, and I help them, they don't. My mother, you know, my mother especially, she doesn't think I have any pain, but she washes the floor on her knees, and you know.
Jean,
yeah.
excuse me. It sounds to me like, with all the anguish
right
and the
now.
turmoil that's in your life, you have to understand God gives us a very, very precious gift, and it's called free will. I do believe in the God consciousness very strongly. I do believe that we must take charge of our lives. I do believe that there is help available. The angel term comes from many, many hundreds and thousands of years ago. In the gospel, you read about the cherubim, and you'll read about the seraphim, and you'll read about all the love. What is going on here is quite evident to me, that self-love is what you need, and you need a great deal of it, even though your life has been a mixture of a lot of down times. It's time that you look at some of the good things. You're breathing. That's one thing. It may not be a lot of contentment about you, but there is no quick fixes and there's no easy answers. But you have to remember that in this term of angels, we speak of a lot of love. Okay? Thank you for calling, Jean.
Thank you very much.
God bless. Go ahead, Debbie from New Britain. You're on the line.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Alma. The reason why I'm calling is I think maybe I can give some inspiration to some people. I'm a clairvoyant who had a near-death experience when I was 18, and my life turned around for the better. I've been on a soul search, like you said, Pat, and working on your own life, and I went away on a spiritual journey last week for a couple of days and had a wonderful time, and I really found myself some more. I had an extraordinary experience at work when I was working at a job that I didn't like 2 years ago in May. I had 6 milky white entities appear in front of my desk that was absolutely extraordinary. And I wanted to ask you, Alma, I don't know if they were my guides or if they're angels, but they were wonderful. They gave me hope. My life was a mess. Things were going wrong. And since I saw them, my life has turned around, my psychic abilities are working more, and I have much more of a clear idea what I want to do with my life. And it changed my life for the better. I thought my life didn't matter, and it brought such love and joy and peace, and oh my gosh, Jesus remembered me, and 6 of them came. I will never forget it. I did a drawing in a journal of them, and it's changed my life for the better. My life is on an upward swing, and ever since I've seen them, it's given me hope, and I try to give that hope to people whenever I do a reading for someone. And believe me, if he noticed me, he notices everybody, because I stopped going to church for a while, and I stopped believing, but it's turned my life around, and there really is a beautiful spirit life out there.
Debbie, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Please, viewers, pick up this book, Ask Your Angels. This is a wonderful book. It gives so much wonderful insight into self. And as Alma said so graciously earlier in the program, we must take charge of our lives, help ourselves to become happier, better, more positive individuals. And it can only come from a God consciousness that is all love. Alma, I can't thank you enough for appearing. Bless you. And I'm sure you'll have to come back.
I'd love to. Thanks so much, Pat.
And be patient. Those of you who are waiting on the lines will be back to take your phone calls immediately following these commercial messages. Stay with us. And welcome back. And those of you who've been waiting patiently for me on the lines, I'm going to get right to you. Go ahead, Willimantic.
Hi, Pat. This is Donna. I'd like to know if my very best friend, Penny, is going to be able to have a baby in the near future.
Well, it depends on what you would call the near future. For some reason, I'm feeling it's in the works or in the makings or trying to be. I don't feel anything right away, but I did feel I am getting some anticipation, excitement 94, 95. So that's the way I have to answer your question.
Okay. If in the near future, if in your near future, do you know what it might be?
Well, I just said 94, 95. It could be that there will be conception in 94, baby born in 95. That's exactly how I heard it. That's how I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You have a pleasant evening. Go ahead, caller from Colchester. You're on the line.
Hi, Pat. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
My first question is about a relationship I'm having with this terrific guy. Do you see anything?
Well, you said to me this relationship you're having with a terrific guy. That would tend to make someone believe that everything is really hunky-dory in the relationship. I'm not saying that he may not be a terrific guy, but I'm not feeling as though everything is being talked about exactly what you want from this relationship or where you want it to go at this point in time. So I will say this to you. If communication improves and expectations are discussed, not assumed, I'm talking conversation, and expectations being met and goals being on the same wavelength, then you should know by the crux of the cold months exactly where this relationship is. It'll either be made or broken at that point. So I'm going to tell you any time between now and, say, the end of March.
Okay.
Okay?
My
Now,
second-
what's your second question?
While I'm waiting for my house to be sold, I'm thinking about changing jobs.
Okay, house is going to take a little while. You know, you said that to me, and immediately a small porch came into my mind. And I almost thought, do you remember what that lattice work looked like?
Yes.
It's like this, only I didn't feel the lattice work as much as I did small little post. Now, why that came to me, I don't know. I don't know if it's where you presently are or where you will be going, but I think you should jot it down in any event. I did feel the change of the house, but not right now. And there's some big rocks for some reason. I get a rock or some sort of a big boulder or something jutting out here. And the road that kind of curves a little bit. As I said, if it's not where you are, then it might be where you're going to. Okay. So keep note of it. As for the career change, I know you have to make the change. I think it's necessary for you to make the change, but I feel you're stuck for some reason or unable to do it right now. Either maybe the position isn't available or you have to wait for it to come available. Because I feel stuck. I don't know quite how to say it to you, but that's the way I'm getting it. Again, winter time, a very strong month. So I'd have to say, for you in making the career change, look toward colder weather.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, caller from Westerly. You're on the line.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi. I just wanted to know, I'm going through some changes in a relationship, starting to see some other people.
Yep. It's definitely time.
Yeah.
It's been time. So I'm comfortable about you making the change. And I want to say this to you too, caller. Get back in touch with yourself a little bit. You don't want to jump into another committed relationship right away. You need time to re-examine yourself. You need time to see what you're all about. I know that there's somebody out there already that probably what I mean by that is you may not know yet, but around the corner or familiar to me means in a short period of time that will want to be in your life on a committed level right away. I don't think you need to do that. Give yourself, please give yourself some time. Now, why is the month of November important in your life?
It's my birthday.
It's your birth month. I thought that's what you were going to tell me. Then listen to me. Between now and that time of the year, just be good to yourself. Take some trips, do some shopping, get with some friends. I think you need space from that gender altogether right now. Because you've really been on an uncomfortable roller coaster for a while. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. You're very, very welcome. Go ahead, caller from Waterford. You're on the line.
Good evening, Pat.
Good evening.
I have two questions this evening.
One at a time.
Right. The first one is a job. I was wondering when I was going to get one. I'm having a lot of anxiety about that.
Not good. Oh, boy. Ugh. Yeah. Would you understand if I told you that some of the positions that you have looked into that you're overqualified?
Oh.
I'll tell you. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Let me explain why. From the monies that you had before to what you'd be going into do not compute to me. Okay, so that could be why I sense like overqualified, meaning more money and not being able to match it in where you're looking. Do you understand now?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you would. So that's why you're running into this wall. And unfortunately, I don't feel it crumbling right away. I'm so sorry to have to tell you that, but I have to be honest. So I'm going to say to you, if you've got some other things in the interim that you can do to kind of hold you over, bide you over, whatever, bind you over, I think you're going to have to resort to that, because I really don't feel you settled into a really positive career and being comfortable in a monetary sense till probably spring.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But there might be some things intermittently between now and then, but not anything that's comforting to me until then. Sorry.
Well, let's see
What
if we
was
can
your
make
other
it a little
question?
better.
What was your other question?
Soulmate. Is there one out there for me? Have I met him?
Soulmate?
Do I know him? Yeah.
Well, let me tell you this. I believe in that. I believe that there's a lot of positive energies, there's a lot of negative energies, and I truly believe that if we place a lot of emphasis on wanting the right person to come along, the right person can be placed in our life, but we have to be ready. As my guest said earlier, we have to learn really what we're all about, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Remember what she said, it's very, very powerful and important that we're honest with ourselves and look at some truths. And when that happens, then we can meet prospective soulmates. I think that's why there's so many blunders and why there's so much divorce and, you know, because we're impatient and
So,
probably insecure. It'll happen for you. Just don't look for it tomorrow.
Oh, so you don't see anything in your near future, my near future?
Within a couple-year time frame for you. And I can't say, honestly, it's your soulmate, but I did feel some contentment anyway. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Good night.
And welcome back. And the first letter comes to me from Tom D. in New Britain. Tom, you asked me about advancement in your career and about purchasing a home. Well, dear Tom, first of all, let me tell you this. Your photo showed me a dynamic individual, very outgoing, very friendly, and yet I felt it to be a little bit of a facade because I sensed, even though I felt that you're wonderfully charming and a very witty individual, I also felt some feelings from you of insecurity, and that some of this outgoingness and this charm and this comedian-like talent of yours that you purport is sometimes just a covering. I think that you're lacking in your real self-confidence, and I really want you to work on that. You come across that way to people, as I said, but it's a facade because I really felt some uncertainty and some doubtfulness from you. But I did feel that your job keeps you somewhat mobile at times, but in the parameter of one place, not mobile all over the state or anything, but like in one place, one area. You deal with retrieving some sort of data, I felt, perhaps from computers, and probably something in sales. The position shows me maybe managerial or a supervisory capacity with some benefits. It will be positive overall for you, but for you to gain some new confidences in yourself. Your home should be built, not purchased. You show me to be the kind of person that demands a lot of openness, maybe a lot of skylights, a lot of sliders, hardwood floors, shiny, maybe something like post and beam or modern contemporary, but not absurd, not something that's far out or anything. And preferably out in a wooded area where you can have a nice scenery, but you can deal in a very busy and active life, but you need the space. And thank you for your wonderful compliments as well. The next letter comes to me from Marcia C. from New London. You asked me about retirement and relationship. Dear Marcia, in the photo that you sent me of the two people, I feel that you've been through thick and thin. I saw two people who care very deeply for one another's happiness and feelings, but I also sensed a lot of anguish and sometimes depressions. Both of you kind of fight sometimes for like authority or to be heard. It's almost like competition sometimes in communication, and that never works. You should always be uppermost in control of your reactions, because I felt sometimes you're very impulsive and you think hastily and sometimes make the wrong decisions, and always being apologetic later on. Relax. Yes, I felt very good about the retirement in the new year, and please stay well. I was a little bit concerned about your health, although you didn't ask me about it. And the third letter comes to me from DJ out of Lisbon. You asked me about future with L, and you asked me if things would be easier for L. Well, dearest DJ, first of all, the compassion that you hold was overwhelming to me. It's a quality that's rare, and something that I enjoy so very much seeing in other persons. You are totally unselfish in your feelings for Elle, but you are so intense. I think sometimes that Elle felt intimidated by you. You're a very intense person. You're intense about everything that you do in your life. The energy from your picture shows me someone that can be obsessive sometimes in certain areas, and I I know that feeling very well, and you have to really, really work hard with it. You have to learn to let go and realize that things are going to be no matter how you see them. And I feel that Elle has been overwhelmed by this part of your nature. You need to find a proper balance for yourself, and perhaps therapy can do that for you. So I would certainly do everything within my ability to encourage you to look in that. Elle also needs to work on some of these same areas, but not in the intensity as I felt in you. You will not, unfortunately, do this together. I didn't feel that the therapy would be a mutual thing. I did feel that you would probably go your separate ways, and there would be changes in relationships coming for the both of you within the next year, year and a half. Good luck, and God bless both of you. The next letter comes to me from R.C. from Westerly, Rhode Island. He asked me about health of your hand and fingers and about a new car. Well, dear R.C., in looking at your photo, I see a very dear woman in her later years. However, you have a very strong constitution, even though you have much trouble with your hand and fingers. You didn't tell me which one, but I sensed more of a problem in your right hand. You do not let it get the better of you, however. Unfortunately, I also felt this problem would probably continue for the rest of your life. New car? That was kind of strange for me. I didn't know if what I was perceiving was that you're used to driving like Cadillacs or larger cars, but now looking to something more on an intermediate level, like maybe a Buick or a Chevrolet or something in that range. But you like the comfort I felt of a bigger car, although I think you're getting older in years. You got to be careful of judgment and, you know, parking those bigger cars. So I wasn't certain if I picked it up just in the reverse as what I just told you. And thank you for your compliments as well. The last letter of tonight's episode of Insight comes from J.F. from East Lyme. You asked me about a loan to your son. You asked me about getting your health back and possibly having tumors. I did not feel that you would lose your home. I did feel, however, that things would be quite difficult, and I know your letter is a couple of months old to me, so you're probably seeing this already at this present time. And I didn't feel that things would turn around for you, unfortunately, till either the end of '94 or into '95. And you will have to seek medical attention for your back, and I would certainly encourage you to do so. Yes, I am a strong believer in positive energy, positive thinking, and self-healing. Most assuredly I am. But I also believe that one must work in conjunction with a very good physician, one that's taking care of us, or a surgeon. I don't feel in your particular case that self-realization, self-healing would be enough. You do have some situations that warrant certainly professional attention. And it should be done in conjunction, as I said, with your surgeon. Good luck and God bless. And P.S., I hope you don't mind, but I have placed your name in my prayer book. And welcome back. And we're going to go right to the lines. Go ahead, caller from Groton. You're on the line.
Hi, Pat. How are you this evening?
Good evening.
I have a question about employment.
Okay.
Well, for one thing, am I going to find a job anytime in the near future? And will it be in the same field that I've been in for the past few years?
Well, no and no. Let me explain. No, that there isn't a job right around the corner, except somebody, I keep getting an influence, someone in your life maybe knows you're looking. I'm getting information from another source to tell you about a job that's available that you'll go and inquire about. The problem with it is I don't think it's in the identical field. I'm feeling in the maybe within that spectrum of what you do, if you can understand that. My only other concern is the monies, and right now you really need to take just about anything that comes along, but I only felt a temporary position with this person telling you about this other job. That's exactly how I felt it. That's exactly how I told you.
Okay, I see.
Now, what was your, did you have another question?
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
A relationship, any type of relationship in the near future.
Is there someone you're, how can I put this? It's like, I feel some stigma left over. I feel like there was someone, or there is someone, but I'm not comfortable with it. It's like it's something hanging, something not non-productive, something not
Right.
not good. So I think you're just kind of biding your time in this particular situation until a more positive romance comes along, and that probably won't happen for maybe another year or so. That doesn't mean you'll be alone. I'm just talking about something that's solid and more harmonizing for you and more loving.
Well,
I
the
don't
situation
feel
that I'm in is very comfortable, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's not. As I said, it's
Yeah.
it's it just is. I don't know how to. I can't put into words what I'm feeling. It's like it's just secure. I mean, it's there, but that's it. And that's why I said I don't feel really anything coming along that's more passionate, romantic, or more with any sparks flying until, like I said, probably another year or so, because this is comfortable. But it's just not good. It just is. I don't know how else to say it.
Friendship.
You know what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
That's what's important.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Go ahead, the other caller from Groton. You're on the line.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening.
My question has to deal with the subject of angels.
Oh, sure.
But I got in a little late.
Okay.
I wanted to know if you thought that someone who has died before could come back and like act as a guardian angel to us. Because I had a daughter who died 9 years ago, and I often really wonder about her, all the time. And it's just kind of it's a feeling that I have, but it's an uncertainty, even though I believe in God and think that she's in heaven.
Then let me help you, call. I'm busting over here.
Okay,
First of all, let me say how much I appreciate this question.
Okay.
I have been a practitioner now of the psychic sciences for 15 years, and what I'm about to tell you is from my own experiences.
Okay.
And I definitely, let me emphasize, I can't emphasize it enough, I definitely believe in God consciousness, and I do believe that persons don't just simply die and that's the end of the story. I have a hard time also, I don't believe that they go either to heaven or to hell. I believe that it's learning phases that we go through. When the physical body dies, then the spirit body, the soul, if you will, must go on to other realms of also learning knowledge. And this is why I believe that there's good consciousness and there's negative consciousness. And when your daughter passed away...
She was only 2 years old.
Yep. But when she passed away, what you knew as 9 or 10 years old was the physical body that housed that spirit. The spirit... There is no such thing as time. Spirit or soul matter goes back to God consciousness, which was, which is, and which will always be. Therefore, what you knew the child to be as is no longer that anymore. She now comes, I believe that they come given permission by God consciousness. As Alma was saying earlier, I'm sorry that you missed it, that when there's turmoils in our life, it's like they have to come to tell us it's okay. Stop, don't cry for me, don't worry about me, because in the place that I am, it's all happiness, it's total love, it's total removal of everything that's associated in the physical. When I hear people say to me, gee, my head said, or my gut told me, or, when you speak with men, that's what they'll say to you, gee, my gut instinct, or women will say my women's intuition, or my mother, God bless her, she'll always say my mind says, or I heard in my head. All that means is there is a connection with that God consciousness. If we're good people, okay, if you're out there and your intentions is not to hurt anybody but just to survive, to me that's a good person. So the God consciousness says, let me help you. Now if you're a Jeffrey Dahmer of the world, then I would have to say that whatever is leading you does not come from that God consciousness. It comes from that negative consciousness, because the ultimate proof is in the pudding. Or judge the tree by the fruits that it bears. And I live by that. I live by that. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I never will be. But I persevere to try and be in that realm of that God consciousness. So it's wonderful for you to remember your daughter as she was in that physical state. But if you feel that presence, I'm sure what you feel, you might feel tears because of her physical loss, but you'll feel peace.
A lot of times I do, and that's really good.
Absolutely. And so, yes, to answer your question, and every time you feel that, you should say a prayer. And it doesn't mean a prayer out of a book. It means just talking.
Talking to her. Right.
Okay?
Okay. Can I have one more question?
Absolutely.
possibly?
Go ahead.
What do you just see around me right now, tuning into me
In what?
my life?
In
with
what
my
regard,
husband, my husband, my life with him.
Well, something in the past 2 years shows me some changes, some good and some waiting to see kind of things. There's been some changes outside of the loss of your daughter. I'm not even talking about that. I'm into a whole nother thing here. And something expecting or some expectation, something that's good, something that you're waiting for, also comes into my mind. You're going to see changes coming for you, and I hope that they'll be more positive than negative. I know you're going through some rough times too,
Right.
but by the first part of the year, I feel a pulling away from something and then something else changing for the better.
Okay.
But make certain before you do it that you're comfortable with those changes.
Great.
All right?
Pat, thank you so much, and I
God bless
appreciate
you.
being on TV. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Now don't touch that dial. More details right after these messages. I'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you for watching Insight. Next week, the program will be dedicated to all of your calls and your letters. Thank you so much for your wonderful compliments and your support of this program. Remember, always think positive and act positive. Good night and God bless.